Meeting to order. Now, it's 6 p.m. calling the meeting to order. Board roll call, please. Julie Tall.
Christopher Webb.
Michael Cornelia.
Ford Rivers.
And Robin Kissel. And we do have the directors of each division here as well. Thank you all for coming again. So everyone is present. Approval of the agenda. Do I have an approval or motion for that?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I second. Sure. Has everyone had a chance to look at the previous minutes? Oh, yeah. All in favor of the agenda? Raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Moving to the next. Next is the approval of the agenda.
Now you're on the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve previous minutes.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. I'll second it. Thanks. We did roll call. That's done. That's done. Okay, public comments. Oh, shoot. Can we have a vote on the minutes, please? Is everyone in favor of them? Aye.
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 Aye, thank you.
I wanted you to be opposed, just to be that person.
And they're good though. Okay, now moving on to number 5. Public comments, non-agenda topics. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes and needs to identify themselves, their full names and addresses. Do we have any public speakers? Anyone out there that would like to speak?
I do. I'm not sure if I was added to the agenda or not.
You are.
Do you want me to go now or wait?
Wait if you don't mind, please.
And there's
Nobody else in regard to,
none in the chat either.
okay. Okay, we have no public comments on non-agenda topics. Committee updates, budget.
No update.
Okay,
Oh, well, I did give Daryl some information on selling the tires or getting rid of the tires and stuff like that. But that's really all.
okay. So nothing there. Recreation,
No update at this time.
nothing at this time. Personnel,
Looking for a district manager.
that we are. Good. Reports from the staff, officers, and or consultants. Let's start with the district manager, please.
Report from says district manager. Real quickly, the Harrington grazing lease, I did add that emergency services language and it was signed, but he actually talked to them and apparently they are not going to be landing helicopters out there anymore for practice, only in cases of a live event because it scares horses. So, last day will be June 26th, and I'm out of the office starting this Friday, but I'm available by phone, text, and email. It's been a hell of a trip with you guys, and I appreciate it. So, thank you.
You've been awesome. You're
Appreciate
really very missed.
Yes.
Quitter.
Yeah. Sure.
Quitting's easy, man. I've done it dozens of times.
Yeah. Shoes are gonna be hard to fill. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to Director of Administration, please, Sean.
So our audit is underway. It's begun. We did answer a few different questions from the auditor over the last month. Barb and I attended a training on our new website. I also attended a training on Neptune, which is the program we use to read our meters. That's pretty much it, other than our normal accounts payable, meter reads, monthly billing. We also participated in the Wildfire Preparedness Day. It was myself and Daryl and Guy. We had a booth set up. We gave out evac maps and we kind of previewed the new website. It went well. people didn't even know that we had an feedback route. So it was nice to kind of hand out those maps and just touch base with the public, so.
Very good. Yeah, I stopped in there myself too to, in fact, had Wildfire give me a rundown on my own place. So, yeah, that was nice and it was free. So it's good information to have.
Yeah.
So thank you.
What did you learn from your networking class?
So it's pretty much just the basics. We never got a formal training from anyone when we started using Neptune 360.
Go figure.
So it was really adding new users, the difference between the AMI and the AMR. The basics. I did learn a few things that I didn't know before.
So more of the whole program, not just like the.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was kind of an overview for someone who had never used it before. I did learn a few things about the reports and stuff that I didn't know. A lot of it didn't apply to us because we don't have the towers that read our meters continuously. So a lot of it just didn't apply to me, but I did learn a few things that I didn't know previous to that. So it was worth the hour training for sure. Any other questions for me?
Okay, let's move on to the Director of Water and Wastewater, Mark.
All right, so, we moved up to 5.5 million gallons of produced drinking water, this last month. Got a typo in there from April to May, it should read May to June. But anyway, 1.2, was the increase. So as I've mentioned before, you know, you guys I'm doing it myself, right? Do things alive. So it's just part of the summertime, springtime thing, and then I'll get my bill and I'll cry a little bit and turn it down.
You call them, give them help.
Yeah, I'll call myself and complain. You guys see, we have a little firmer idea of what the road crew used. And some irrigation numbers for the grass out front. Interestingly to me, the wastewater production went up a little bit, 250,000 or so. I don't know what that means. A lot more showers, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. We've ordered. There's a bullet on here about ordering some microbes to administer to cell 1. That project, we just started to fill again. We had to drain 500+ thousand gallons out of cell 1 in order to go down there and fix an air leak that we've had for 3 years now. And that process is now on the backside of being repaired, which you'll see probably some thumbnails on the next month's report about what's happening this month today. With that repair, it's some good news too, because there wasn't a bunch of sludge down there. So I don't think we have to worry about sludge removal for quite some time. We end up with like 4 or 5 feet of sludge at the bottom of one of those vessels. You're not getting the kind of process that you want, which we have experienced something very similar with temperatures. But when you lose that volume, you don't get what the engineer had in mind when he built the thing. So that's in process. Let's see, we had an initial conversation with Southwestern Systems to get some jetting and camera work done on our collection system. He couldn't give me a good price for what a manhole rehab would cost. I'm figuring it's close to 10,000 to 12,000 per manhole. We have a lot of them here that need some rehab. Once we get through some of this busier time, we'll have a better idea of which ones. I mean, we know of a couple right now we could point to if we have some extra money at that time. Might swing 2 or 3 manholes into the mix this year if we can. We'll see.
Have you figured out how many manholes we have?
Yeah, it was like 197.
197?
I think I told you that like 2 meetings ago or something. It took us a while to figure that out because we had to figure out how many manholes were actually out there.
Mhm.
And I'm sure there's some that we don't know. Because they're under 6 inches. Back. But, let's see, still working with getting to our SCADA system to be more robust. And also, better serving our needs. I guess I would say. All right, I'm still having some issues getting our backflow reports from uptime. This could lead to a potential violation for us if things go the wrong way. We'll flush that out more. I'm still trying to get a response from them. Let's see, we had a kickoff meeting with CDPHE concerning the grant awards. This one I kind of wanted to bring to your attention. I would like to have a kind of a clear idea of our chain of command. Because the first thing we have to do is sign a check for 45 grand to send to DAC Drilling to get on their schedule. Is he gonna do that? Am I gonna do
I do
that?
it until the 26th, and then I would think it goes to the board president.
Okay, so the mechanism to
Yes, that's the way that it would go.
do invoicing then. They wanna know who to send, they wanna know who to send these documents to sign to. You still?
Yes.
And it will be manager at Forest Lakes until they send to that address and then they'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm
Yes,
here until.
the address.
And then so after you, after you leave then, when we go to send invoices in, you guys are wanting me to take care of the invoicing. Like when we spend money on something, we have to send them an invoice within 45 days.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be available? You want me to take care of that?
What I would suggest is keep that file. You guys work on that. She manages it and it's that deadline.
Good, yes.
Okay.
So can I ask a question? Is this, CDPHE, is this all with the grant, the $121,000 grant thing?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
one of them.
And we'll get into it. Sorry to interject. That's a reimbursable grant. So what that means is we spend money
Right.
and provide these receipts. They pay us back usually within 30 to 60 days. So we're not worried about cash flow because we know we're getting that money back fairly. So we have no concerns about having holes in our revenue.
And where does that money come from? The general fund?
No, it'd be coming from the water, our wastewater fund.
Wastewater.
The water fund.
Water fund.
Water fund.
We have that in there?
Yep.
Okay.
Good question.
Work still continues on the manhole identification. We have the map. We have numbers that we can give to Southwest Systems now. And moving forward for years to come, there will be some nomenclature for people to use here. After I go. So, you guys have any more questions for me?
Did you say after you're gone? Are you retiring?
At some point, I don't know.
Wait, when are you leaving?
Young kids, man, I don't know.
When is after you're gone?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Kids are in the future. They haven't.
He's setting up his predecessors, whatever he does, decided to retire. That they come in and they're not guessing what's what.
Okay.
They'll have
I'll be able to say-
an ID.
It's easy to identify for them, and I appreciate that.
Your collection system, well, yeah, it'll have, you can go find this particular manhole.
Okay. My
That would
heart
be
just
nice.
did a jump there because I'm like, oh, no.
Have you
It's
looked
been good
into
for a second.
Yeah.
GIS, a capital improvement fund?
We have some money for a base station. To get that and then also some, Rick Johnson time from someone engineering.
That's budget for this
It's
year.
budgeted, it hasn't happened yet, for this budget. to get started on that. So we're gonna use it for more than just water and wastewater. Daryl's gonna use it for culverts and signs and everything else we can think to use it for. Everything else that we can actually have a body to go do that and get that information. So, you know, I don't know, several years from now, there's gonna be a lot more complete picture on a map of this place than there is right now.
We talked about this today, actually, in staff meeting. And I suggested strongly that they reach out to San Juan Engineering, who has a lot of our stuff in Parkview. And it would be nice to see exactly what they have and how much of a base that would be for us to start. And if that's what we want to build off, because they know how to do it, and they've got it in place. Can we work with them, or do we need to step out to do a larger picture? So, but we do have hardware it's in the budget. And it is something we talk about because we're tired of hunting, and we're tired of every time we want to go find a valve, it's Easter. That gets old very soon.
We did have our violation for last month. We took samples on June 1st so we could start this project with the cell one, and we just got those back and those passed. So we're out of violation mode right now.
Good.
Till
Well done.
next winter or next fall cold season.
60 days of cold.
Yeah. And I will probably be asking for some money in next year's budget to get a different cover for for that particular cell. At that point, we've done about everything other than heating the water that comes in. So in the future.
And on the wish list.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to any other questions for water and wastewater, anybody? Okay, moving on to the director of road, rec, open space and maintenance.
Everyone, May, we continued, normal operations of removing trash, burning slash, pots, picking up around parks, trimming and mowing. We are having to clean a lot of trash off of Harrington's and Myers properties due to
The wind.
the wind blowing around. We deployed our radar sign up here on Alpine Forest. Try to move that once a week when we have time. Yeah. Been an organized shop. Road crew attended gravel road management training and was certified. Fuel pump did go out on the Dodge. Had to go pick it up.
You're right.
In your Bridgeway almost.
It's 6 in the evening. You left here.
6 in the evening.
He was late.
Long day. But we got them home safely. We got the truck home. It was fuel pump went out. We got it repaired. We temporarily repaired the ash rig. I am having it repaired right now. I would have liked to have been the one to repair it, but I just don't have the time to do that. I got some pictures I could show you after the meeting or possibly later that a little bit more concerning issues right now. We've been starting that project. I'll have more information for y'all at the next meeting. On that, how do I word this correctly? We dismantled the beaver dam on the Bennemeyer ditch.
Okay.
It was blocking up and overflowing. Reviewed rules and regulations with guide. We did attend the litigation fair as Shauna spoke of in her meeting. Changed codes on the doors of the shop. Now each employee has each has their own individual PIN for access to make this process less time consuming in the future, so we have more turnover. The district manager also has a PIN. Colorado CCFM was instructed by the wrong department to remove a dead cottonwood tree at the bus stop. It was posing a hazard for, next year when the kids are parked down there, or technically anybody who's parked there.
Yeah.
It was completely dead. It did have some green leaves on it, but it still was complete. It was pretty much dead.
No.
No,
Come
no,
in.
no.
I was gonna have them chime in and give their
No.
expert advice on it, but it was in jeopardy. It
Yeah.
was a hazard, so it had to come down.
Did they
A
all,
lot of people don't appreciate that.
Sorry.
Sorry.
did they also look at the other cottonwood that's right over here by your signs for snowplow or for snow parking?
Yeah, that's what.
There's another one over
There
there.
was a DOW guy there today
Really?
with them, looking at the tree behind the sign, and then they drove up to the corner of, what was it, Mountain Oak and San Moritz, and looked at another one on that point.
So do we pay them like a monthly fee or is it per tree or?
They do send their invoice monthly, but it's per tree.
Okay. Yeah.
Right now, we've been pretty much focused on the loop. Gonna begin looking at side roads. They did do a little bit of mitigation up in the front entrance, just to try to do our part on mitigation at the front entrance. But other than that, it's mostly if we have dead trees or we have an emergency in the middle of the night, we call it. All vehicles are operational. We have 2 plow trucks out of service. Sorry, all small vehicles are operational. We have, sorry, that's a typo. We have 2 plow trucks out of service. The skid steer is currently being serviced right now. Door's not sealing up. When the guys are removing the ash out of the burner, that's a really nasty job. It's hard for them to breathe that stuff in. It's not even really good for them to breathe that stuff in. So, yeah, we gotta get that door sealed up so that they're not having to breathe that in. Even with a mask, I mean, they're pulling
Ash.
Yeah, they're pulling ash out of them. So it's pretty bad. So we got to get that fixed. And of course, the air conditioner hasn't worked for some time. And if they're going to close the door, they're going to have an air conditioner. It's a pretty small box to be in without an air conditioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's being fixed right now as we speak. Hopefully we can get it back next week. I'm hoping. I kind of got this thing good. I didn't notice that it was in black ink down at the bottom. I'm sorry, it's so hard to see because I can barely see it. Photos for the month of May 2024, 2.86 miles. But if you look at the gravel, it was 389 tons of gravel used. So there was a lot of repair to the roads done. No, that's a short number, but a lot of repairs done to the roads. Any other questions?
Anyone?
No, your graph looks really good.
Yeah. Not completely informed. I'm getting there. One more meeting maybe.
You'll have it. You'll have it.
I just think, I'm excited. I want to come back in the summer. I want to see what the front looks like when it's blooming and the flowers are big. It's well mowed. It's looking really good.
We're not gonna let you come.
Thank you.
You
I'll
can't.
stand on the public right away up there. I'll be right out there at 511.
Is the beaver gonna be reoccurring or is that issue taken care of?
He tried coming back and knocked it down pretty quickly. I caught it within 2 or 3 days, I think is what it was. But I haven't seen any signs yet, so hopefully he's moving on to better.
Moving on.
When he came into the office, we played Caddyshack.
Yeah.
We did it.
Took care of it. Yeah, I was wondering, dynamite or?
Yeah.
I have a few,
I have one question for Daryl. It's in regarding the slash file. I don't know if this is something, it just seems like in the years past, is it an option for the fire department to just like torch that thing for like training or? I know it kind of shuts it down for a week because of the embers or whatever.
Really,
I know it's huge.
I know it seems like it would be quick done and over with, but it's not really that quick done and over with. It takes a long time to clean all that up because there is so many people throwing things that are not supposed to be in there,
Yeah.
i.e. nails, boards, materials, construction materials. It takes a long time to make sure that there's no nails in there, that you don't get a flat when you go drive in there. It takes a long time. You have to, unearth it and scarify it, drag it with a magnet, unearth it, scarify it, drag it with a magnet. It's a pretty lengthy process. The last time it was burned, unintentionally. I couldn't imagine trying to do it intentionally and then having to do all that work to get it back to good.
If you, take a minute and drive around the backside, somebody puts doors up on. It looks like one of those Lord of the Rings homes. You can go through the door onto the pile, yeah. It's.
Gotta take a picture of that one.
Well, I have a suggestion, and I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but maybe we should close that down for a while till it's all cleaned up and put a nice sign up there and notices on the website that it's closed due to, you know, all kinds of stuff being put in there. It has to be cleaned up and it should only be slash and, you know, I mean, that's a huge pile right now.
Something else that I didn't talk about in this meeting that I wanted to talk about in another meeting was that we can actually, I just found this out. I was looking for a new masher rake to see how much one would cost. Sorry, excuse me. Found out that was pretty expensive. We won't be doing that, but so you can actually sell the biochar is what they call it. It's a product from it. A lot of people use it for gardening. I've looked into it. We have had one small company that was interested in maybe a couple of yards here and there. Nobody on the mass scale yet. I did reach out to a lot of companies and hoping maybe somebody would like to haul that stuff off for us so we can get rid of that big old pile we have. You just see that pile. We have another bigger pile back in the back that is all just ash from people's fireplaces and hard bucket there. So, yeah, but they won't take anything that's construction material. If they come out and they see construction material in it, they will not purchase that. So that is another revenue for the district if, you know, we could potentially
But
sell.
it has to be clean.
But it has to be clean.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. There was talk about cameras, right? Like
There-
purchasing some
We are
cameras.
getting cameras.
Would there be a camera in that area?
There will be. Yes,
Cause that's like irresponsible of the residents to be dumping deck boards and all, like everything.
sir.
Yeah.
We've had couches in the trash.
Nail, all that.
I mean, I honestly think we should need to shut that down. And people are gonna have to take their stuff to the dump
I see though.
somewhere big and
You still
inform
have a
them.
lot of people though that are doing the good stuff,
True, but
so penalizing them for.
I've seen people come in
Contractor.
truckloads of lumber, putting it in the dumpster and, you know, we're either that or we're gonna have to charge the residents more to be able to handle this and get a chipper or something like that.
Because how much time are you spending putting stuff in the burner? Is it like a guy like full-time all day, basically?
Yeah, he's a part-time employee. When he's operating all the time, yeah, he'd be working 8 hours for 32 hours a week, or, yeah, 32 hours a week.
Right.
I did find out also that there's lots of options with those burners too, that you could do. Heating, just thought of that one, talked about heating that. Generators. The burner's good, but it is a time-consuming process. Like I said, if you're gonna open it back up for dumping, that's a very lengthy process. Last year when that one caught on fire, they decided to let it just burn out, and yeah, it was pretty huge pain in the trunk to get it all cleaned back up. So the residents could actually drive through there, not get a nail in their tire. I don't think anybody's got a nail in their tire. I think we did a good job, but it took a long time to get it like that.
And it's very necessary. I have gotten nails in my tires in the past, so, yes, thank you.
I think part of the reason it's so big currently is the skid steers.
So it's
Yeah.
big right now. That's why we closed it off, put it in another section. I am worried about it catching the fire when we go start it back up. There's a potential you may get your wish just by accident. But,
I just thought it was always funny because in the past, like this was 5-6 years ago, and you just like show up in the morning and the pile was gone, and you ask the guys working down there, well, you don't know what happened. Like they just torched it in the night.
I mean, it's something we need to consider and evaluate because if people are continuing, and I've seen doors and pallets and all kinds of stuff, a coffin from Halloween and You know, I mean,
Okay.
Emailed me so I could have checked that and verified that it was clean.
I mean,
Is the repair on the skid gonna take?
I'm hoping to get it back next week.
So I'm kind of with Joey, we shut it down until at least we get the skid steer back, so we're not
It is,
continuing.
it is shut off. Well, it's,
Okay,
We'll keep it shut down until we get skid steer back, so a guy can actually operate in safety. And the pile doesn't keep getting bigger until we can.
At this time. Let's put a note though on the gate there that says where they can go to dump it. Give them some options. You need to,
Bond
I do have them rerouted
Bonded.
over there where we're, oh, you're talking.
I'm talking about shutting it
Yeah.
down, just like Joey, at least until we get the skid steer back. Fully
and until
functional.
that pile gets down, I mean, that's, you know,
Yeah, I'm really worried
Dangerous.
about if it did catch on fire, potentially spreading somewhere else. That's the big fire.
we're in a
Would be a
windy
bad
season.
thing. Yeah, but let's make sure that we communicate where they can take it if they do bring it.
Okay.
So that we have that, we're given some guidance on that.
But
I mean, we were here last year when it did go up in flames, so we understand.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, like Robin said, I mean, people are doing, it seems like a lot of people are doing the mitigation, trying to, you know, do the part for the neighborhood, so it seems like we need somewhere to put it. You know, it seems like,
we're not talking about keeping it closed indefinitely.
Just for about a week or so.
Get the skid steer back.
yeah, but even then, it's like, I mean, there's people every day doing it. So we should try
Is
to
there
get-
potential for a rental for the next week in the meantime?
Or even just
We're
another
getting-
pile
we're
to
getting
take it
it
to.
tomorrow, but it's still pretty big pile right now.
Yeah, until you whittle it down.
I mean,
And,
but
you know, I get, I'm sorry.
But
I get what you're saying, but we're moving one hazard to another spot and creating another hazard. And people could just take a week or two off and do some yard work, go to a lake or something, let us get caught back up. And
As
then
long, I
reopen.
guess as long as we communicate it with everyone, so.
And I think that's key. Let's make sure. that
Cause
we
I've
got
been in
it.
that, I remember it was, when it was shut down for that fire, I had like a trailer loaded up and then it had to sit on the trailer for however long it took to get it back open. And it's like, where do you take, you know, someone loads their truck up and drives down there, it's closed. It's like crap.
Well, they just speed down the road and all,
Balls out.
Redneck dump truck.
When does the water bill go out?
take the corners a little quick.
Ground zero.
But I could send out a mass message that the slash pile is
Down temporarily.
Due to equipment.
Due to equipment and size and illegal dumping.
I will say that this
Can we-
tend to go down pretty quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's all the way cleaned out, and we can get it all the way cleaned out. I mean, he can get that pile to half of what it is right now, in 3-4 days.
Can we
Yeah,
say
that's
illegal
enough.
dumping?
So like by the end of the week, we can
Yes.
make a pretty big dent in there with the rental.
Right now, we're kind of limping right now because we don't have a proper, slash rake, or whatever they want to call that thing that they sent with the ash burner. Right now, like I said, we're having fabricated. Right now, we're using a door off of an old dumpster that was no longer being used, and the backhoe and trying to scrape that out. So it's a little different. It's a little hard.
How much is the
Having to,
ash rake?
The ash rake was $8,000, and that was without shipping. It was another $5,000 for shipping.
Ouch.
For that rake that you sent us a picture of?
Correct. And we're getting it fixed right now. The material costed me around $750 for the material. I did not have one piece of plate. A person that's manufacturing it, he did have to purchase a piece of plate, which was another $600. And he was telling me before he had to purchase the plate, the total would be around $1,000. So right now we're at $2,300 to repair it, but I don't think it'll be easy to break the way we designed this. So
Good.
it should be pretty
Solid.
good. And still not be able to rip off the machine or tip the machine. I think it'd be good. Should last for a long time.
So
I'm
previous
pretty
board,
confident in my design. I was a fabricator for a long time. Pretty confident.
we do have fines in place for illegal dumping.
Yes.
So,
You know, there's always two you could suspend, keep odds instead of everybody being suspended.
You know who it is.
Cameras are on the way.
once,
Public
And we will be checking the cameras very often. When we see couches,
Do it now.
understand, but when we see couches in there from now on, we will be getting with the sheriff's department and figuring out who's doing it.
Good.
Yeah.
So are you guys okay with Shauna putting that message out on the water bill and also saying due to
Well-
illegal dumping? Because they've got to clean all that stuff up.
Water bill's not gonna go out till the end of
Or
the month.
the message, I mean.
I can send a mass message out if that's what you guys want to do.
It's probably a good idea to, you know, put the word out that, hey, we got problems with the slash file equipment and stuff like that. So it is, you take it elsewhere, do.
So 1 week,
Can you get it down, do you think, to where we can manage it after, say, 1 week? Is that enough time?
try our best.
Well, give us a timeline, whatever you feel is.
Like I said, with that rate, it took him, I don't know, I mean, 3-4 hours to clean it out today with that rake that we have right now.
Okay.
It's a while. And I mean, typically, if you're burning pretty heavily, typically I clean it out every day.
So what is the ash
With
rate?
the rake, it usually takes about 1 hour. to
Pull
clean it out.
it out.
You couldn't use the backhoe?
No, because then you're jeopardizing
Damaging
teeth
the
and pins and everything else shearing.
Remember how the roof looked when they used? Exactly. Sorry.
Is that rake stirred up to continue, like, to burn it completely, or is it just for removal?
No,
I guess I'm trying to,
it's just for removal.
okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever drove by there and seen them cleaning it out, that stuff's still very hot, even after, I've seen it smolder a month after it was turned off, and nothing else been put in there. It smolders for a long time.
So do you recommend 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Be a good
2 weeks
estimate.
would be the longest.
Okay.
2 weeks would be
So 10 days. 10 days?
So you guys don't,
So like,
What are we?
this, the rest of this week
Tuesday,
is
so 10
Tuesday,
days.
so you got 3 days this week, and
3
then
days
all next week, no holidays in there, right?
Open back up like Saturday next week?
because then we'll have those skid steer back, we should have skid steer back. hopefully, and I think we can stay on
Good
top
for the
of that.
weekend?
Shoot,
Honey-do list?
that might be a good date to open it back up, or
If
have that
that,
as
I
the
mean,
open date.
that's on you.
No, I think, the end of next week, Monday, I'll have a calendar in front of me, sorry, but,
Set
not
up
this
his
Monday
routine.
coming up, but the Monday after that, I think it should be a sufficient amount of time.
so the 24th,
Yeah, 24.
June 24th.
Okay,
Like I said, we should have ours, we should have everything completed on ours, the rake and the skid steer both, and I think we should.
and we should be able to go strong
Fully
on.
operational and roll back down about nothing.
Perfect. So let's make sure that we put a sign there at the key fob area, and that the, you know, everywhere actually post,
Will do.
I think.
Is
We're gonna-
there-
And I will send out the mass message as well.
That'd be great, yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Is there the likelihood of having the part-timer just kind of hanging out there on Saturdays for a couple Saturdays just to kind of make people aware, hey, we're watching you?
I can speak with him and ask.
Or is that not a good thing because he can't really confront anybody saying, hey, you can't?
I wouldn't put them in that predicament. Nobody that.
Right.
We're not involved. It could create a hostile
We don't want that.
situation.
I think we just bank on the cameras and take an action when we have the means.
And we can call law enforcement as necessary then too.
I could put my 4-year-old out there. She's pretty
I
good at
just-
getting people back eyes.
I think it's just silly though. It's the residents doing it to themselves or to all of us.
And when I stop people, I do inform them that, you know, you're ultimately hurting yourself. Eventually, with people throwing couches in the trash can, he didn't throw it in. I stopped him. And, you know, I told him, I was like, you know, if that's dumpster's full, then people are doing this on a repetitive basis, then we have to get another dumpster. And your rates go up, increase. People don't understand that.
Yep.
I think sometimes.
Or care.
Care.
Okay, so it'll be back open, the slash file will be back open on the 24th of June. Any more questions for Daryl? Anyone? Okay, that takes us to number 8. It's a discussion item. Julie Lynn, it's regarding trash pickup day in the district. She there? Awesome.
I'm here. It's actually not trash pickup. It actually was slash pickup, which is kind of an interesting topic considering the discussion you guys just finished up with. So, so I think most of you guys are familiar with me. I'm the Wildfire Ambassador Partnership Wildfire Adapted Partnership Ambassador for the neighborhood. I helped put together the May 4th event that we did. Last year we did an event. We had some grant money that was available through Wildfire Adapted Partnership, and we did a slash pickup event in August. That event we had 2 contractors that participated, and they were paid to do this. It took 3 days for them to do this, and they collected 5,000 cubic feet of slash from the neighborhood, and brought that over to the slash pile. The protocol was essentially people put their slash out by their driveways on the street, and then the contractor came around and picked the material up, hauled it across the street to the slash pile. It was just a way for us to encourage people to kind of get rid of their pine needles and their smaller material from their yards. So again, this is going to time out very oddly with the previous conversation you guys just had, but one of the thoughts that we'd had, and from the feedback that I've been getting on and hearing on the Facebook Neighborly Forest Lakes page, in addition to when we were at the Wildfire Prep Fair, was, can we do another one of those days? Things are a little different this year. We don't have grant funding. We don't have money available for it at this point in time. And so the thought was possibly putting our feelers out there to see if we can just do a purely volunteer event. It would probably be a couple of weekends, if we just do on Saturdays, or if we do Fridays and Saturdays. And I think it would just be, people would sign up for whatever they can contribute or whatever they need picked up. And I would just try and coordinate together and match up people who need stuff picked up, people who have trailers, people who have trucks, people who have strong backs, people who are willing to load, unload, that type of scenario, and just try and put it together and see if it works. It's a very trial by fire approach, kind of based on what we had done last year, with the difference being that we'd be, just relying on residents to, kind of volunteer and help out with things. People can't volunteer any of those other items. Maybe they're willing to, volunteer some water or soda or make cookies or whatever. So I just wanted to throw that idea out to you guys. Again, it's very much so in the high level planning stages. It was just something I had thought about doing, and I wanted to run it past you guys and see what your thoughts were on it, and get some feedback from you guys as to what you think. If it's good idea, bad idea, don't want to overload the air curtain burner for, that's what we're doing already. So that's it.
I recall us doing this in 2018 with just strictly volunteers, like trailers and people going and helping, and people had yards that they wanted. I was thinking that they did it at the the wildfire mitigation where they signed up that they needed some help with their yard to get needles and stuff. And so there were like lists of like sign up and so we did. I volunteered. I took a trailer and a truck and I think it was a couple of days myself that I was involved in it. But it was a good turnout and we got a lot of stuff, but maybe we could do that after we get everything back running with our slash pile, where we're back to ground zero again, or staying ahead of the, something of that nature.
Yeah.
But it did work, so I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I think building on the momentum from the May 4th event, you know, and then just kind of looking forward, you know, things being dry. I mean, they've already got fire over by Pagosa that started today. So I just thought kind of building off that momentum. I know there was a lot of momentum that was generated. People are starting to do mitigation on their properties and paying more attention to those kinds of things that we had brought up, moving their wood piles further away from their home and stuff. And like I said, I know there's a lot of interest in this activity and having some help to do this. It's good to know. I wasn't here in 2018 for that event in particular. I helped out on the one that we did in 2020 or 2021, which was a smaller event. But yeah, and so if you guys are okay with it, I know you need to catch up with the air curtain burner, with the pile that you guys have going right now. I would like to start maybe putting the word out and doing some planning, but I don't want to put pressure on you guys because I know you've got to get that cleaned up over there. I also know that it's another month before we have a board meeting. So if I start putting the word out there and just kind of get a feel for things, is that okay? Or do you want me to hold off until July and after the board meeting and after everything gets squared away with the air curtain burner?
I don't see a problem if you get started trying to get volunteers and the list going.
Okay.
I think what would help the district, understanding what you're gonna need from the district. So for instance, if we're doing this on a Saturday, then we need to know, because that would probably be staff overtime. We wouldn't ask our staff to volunteer, they would be paid. That'd be my attitude.
Yes.
So we need to know what that needs are, what a vehicle needs, a rolling stock needs. Land down by the burner, how much would we need? So I think you getting an idea of what the citizens are willing to do and what they can, and probably what the need is. And then I think having a conversation with staff to see what assets from the district you're gonna need, I think would be helpful.
Okay, that sounds good. I was hoping to kind of minimize reliance on staff. I know you guys are busy and it's Saturday's a normal day off for most of the guys, except the, you know, rotational one. So I was hoping not to have to rely too much on staff folks. I know that, you know, afterwards there'll be some amount of, you know, moving the slash into the air curtain burner that needs to be done. But truthfully, I'm hoping just to have a bunch of volunteers who load it and hope a bunch of volunteers who unload. And
is the slash pile down there too much for the air curtain burner?
So they're just talking about that right.
I'm sorry, what was
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Julie. Any
Okay,
other
thanks.
comments, Julie?
no, I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some stuff out there and see what kind of feedback I get. And I'll keep you guys in the loop. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, that pushes us to number 9, new business. 9A, State of Colorado Department of Public Health and Environmental Intergovernmental Agreement. Original contract 2024-4-4167.
Thank you. This is, we touched on this a little bit earlier in Mark's report. I've been really impressed at how this has come together, and I give Mark and our engineers a lot of credit in pulling this together and getting it to the state and getting a grant for $121,000 back. This is to approve that grant, and then we will immediately sign it and send it off to them. They sent me an email today going, "Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it?"
Wonderful.
We're pretty far ahead of the game on this. It's good to see. And so whatever mistakes we go through and issues we have, everybody that comes behind us will be doing a lot better. So,
Yeah, good. Good to
do
see
you have
you.
anything to add to this? Or we've been discussing it for a little while. So.
Yeah, pretty much, once we do this, then we can start spending money.
This is to do well samples to figure out what the heck we're actually getting. If it's moving, if it's not, is it upstream of us, is it not? So
Okay.
that's what this whole thing is.
In the short scenario, what we're really looking for is maybe another well that produces like number 2, that has low PFAS. As Rick Johnson likes to say, maybe we can drink our way around the problem. Instead of having treatment, which will go on in perpetuity forever and is very expensive. So these 3 monitoring wells that we're considering drilling will be one by the firehouse. We want to know what's going on there. There'll be one in the middle of Luke Carrington's field, and then one on the south end of our property by the shop. And those 3 will be the monitoring wells. We'll get data from them. Our plan is also to get data from some private wells above our property, north adjacent, and see if PFAS exists up there.
We've already talked to them and they've got permission.
Good.
And so then, there's going to be some sampling costs. There's going to be costs with Rick doing an evaluation summary and report and all that stuff that goes along with some. It's an environmental study, is what it is. We're trying to figure out what's going on with our aquifer in 2 different times of year. One when the river is on call and up for irrigation, and one when it's off. Because we have seen some seasonal variability already. And we want a better handle on what we're seeing before we dip our toes into some sort of treatment process. We kind of decided that we weren't quite ready to do that yet because we didn't have enough information.
I like it.
So
Good.
this is to proceed and get that information over the next 12 to 15 months.
Good.
And I know this is a government contract, but did Paul look at everything?
I've been dealing with these for 20 years, the pro forma basically, so there's nothing in it. So usually when you're looking at a contract, you're looking for some liability issues, court venues, stuff like that. These are all pro forma covered. They understand, being a state agency, what we can and can't do. So
Okay.
I have no problem with them not saying it. I looked at it and it's fine.
All right.
I'm not.
So we need a motion to approve the State of Colorado Department of Public Health and Environmental and Intergovernmental Agreement, original contract number 2024-4167. I make a motion that.
I make a motion to approve State of Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment Intergovernmental Agreement, original contract number 2024-4167.
Sir. Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone is in favor, so be it.
On contract.
There's
Everything with the
a-
state law.
There's a chat that says Chief Evans of Upper Pine offered to burn the slash file ASAP is that.
You okay with that?
What's in there?
If there was nothing but slash in there.
You want to
Well-
work with him and see what can, I mean,
How strong a magnet do they have?
yeah.
It's gonna be bad, just like last time.
So I don't know that he knows that our concern is about the nails and stuff that are left behind in the slash file. And that's why we're hesitant to do that.
Why don't we at least reach out to him?
Yeah,
So Chief
let
will
us,
give you a call.
we'll be in touch. we will chat.
Okay.
then.
Okay.
That
Sounds good.
Paul. Thanks, Paul.
You bet.
Appreciate that. Okay. That's awesome. Moving on with new business, B, resolution 2024 resolution amending and replacing the Forest Lakes Metropolitan District rules, regulations, and bylaws.
Okay, that was a mouthful. Something we've been working on for a little while, obviously. So how this is gonna be built is right now you have a document online called Rules and Regulations, and it covers some board stuff and it covers some kind of discombobulated district practices. And then you have an excavation permit application that kind of had some stuff in it. And it just didn't, none of it really flowed or worked. So we've spent a lot of time looking at this, and basically what you're gonna have now is a rules and regulations document that will have a lot of the information that your current one has, but not, it doesn't have anything to do with this governing body or anything like that. It's just rules and regulations, considering how this body interacts with the citizens. You're gonna have an addendum number 1 to that, and that is going to be basically the building procedures for water, sewer, and anything in our right of way. In that, you're gonna have an excavation permit, the excavation permit flow chart. The second addendum you're gonna have is a procurement policy. Third addendum you have is the district investment policy. Real quick on the district investment policy, that is literally just state statute. That is all that is. And that is a very common way for municipalities and districts to handle it, is just cite the state statute that you're allowed to do stuff under. So that's, I've seen it many times before. That's your policy. It's the state limiting you what you can do with your money. So any policy that you're gonna write was gonna have to fall under that anyway.
So subject to interpretation.
Not really, read it. It's pretty clear.
I mean, that would be the office here that says, this is what it says, this is how we will handle it.
Yep. But it's real, you know, you're really limited by state statute as to how you can handle your money. And that's a problem. They don't want you speculating on crazy stuff. So you're really limited as to where you can put your money, and we've necked it down a little further. You know, your money right now is sitting in 2 bank accounts in a bank and 1 account in Colorado Trust. We would suggest 1 account at the bank, 2 accounts in Colorado Trust. 1 account in Colorado Trust is one that you can get anytime you want. The second one, Colorado Trust, is basically acts like a CD, where you allow your money to be tied up for 6 months for any certain term. I think they do 6, 9, and 12 in return for a higher interest rate, but it's not liquid. So anyway, so the rules and regulations document, we put some of the notable changes we proposed. Some of them are different than when we talked at the ad hoc level, because when we got to the staff level, it just didn't seem like it was really going to work. So we kind of pulled it out and try to find another way to do things. What I would suggest here is you're going to see probably typos, and you're going to maybe see the duplication. And what I would suggest is, I think most of this document is going to work for you. I know the staff knows it well. I would get into it, and in 4 to 6 months, come back and revisit it and do any of the amendments that you think are pressing. Instead of trying to do everything right around this table tonight, or getting too far in the weeds, I would suggest that you get it practicing, and then in a few months, you go back and revisit to see if there's any real gaps in it.
I spent 2 days reviewing this thing. All ready for today.
Let's see.
I will give you my
Yes.
changes, like you just said, some of the things that
Title
probably
words, yes.
need to be changed.
One of the big ones, the TAP applications. We had a hard rule that there be no work between November 1 and I think it was April 15th. We rewrote that to say TAP applications submitted after September 15th will be processed, but with no guarantee that the district will be able to complete TAP work before November 1 due to seasonal weather. That's the whole reason we got into this. It's the weather issue in our staff and how much work they can actually get done. It goes on to say no taps will be permitted or made between November 1st and April 15th without specific written approval of the district manager. So if we think we're entering into, hey, we got a weather forecast. It looks like 2 more weeks of good weather. The administrator can authorize work to be done. But we're trying to tell the citizens that there is times when we can't do work. Don't plan on it. But the old language is hard and fast. This one gives, and you see that through here. We softened up some language that was hard and fast and gave it more discretion to either the district manager or the board to say, okay, this is an off situation and we'll address it. Signs, let's see, each property shall be served by one service line. Service lines shall not be split to serve 2 or more properties. Signs in the right of way, private signs, including political signs, are not allowed in the district right of way unless given written permission by the district manager. So that includes realtor signs. We want stuff on private property not looking trashy in your guys' right of way. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Good.
We do want to start painting the hydrants based on fire flow capacities. We want tracer wire or the technology for locating installed lines to be installed. There's so many things in this we could spend, well, we have spent months going through it.
Yeah.
But and everybody's here to answer her question.
And we do appreciate all the time you put into it. It's a big project.
It was, I apologize, this took longer than it should have. I didn't realize that you actually had some rules in here. They were on the website that I never saw. So we did work with some of that stuff, but the staff has worked diligently, and the ad hoc was diligent, and I just appreciate everybody taking a look at this. And we organized it different too. So when you get back to some of the addendums, they're structured differently, so they kind of make sense. So we would have drainage and erosion, but it'd be in 4 different locations. So we tried to get some of that stuff and compile it into where there's drainage and erosion as an issue, and then water as an issue, and wastewater as an issue, and culverts as an issue. Instead of one of the things we ran into at staff levels, we just found ourselves flipping back and forth going, now, wasn't there like one sentence over here about that? And we kind of tried to put that back together so it's a little easier to go through for an end user as well as staff.
Very appreciated. Keeping it simple and easy to follow is always the goal, I think.
Well, and when you get into like the water and sewer stuff, and even some of the right of way stuff, it gets fairly specific, industry standard specific. And that's over my head. And, these people understand it. Me, I'm kind of like,
What is unit 5?
where's Unit 5?
We have 5 units here.
1, 2, 4, and 5.
Yeah, we have 5 units.
The different color, they said lower left.
Is it down here? Yep. That's 5?
Yes.
That's it.
No, it's 4, 6.
Mesa.
So we're down here.
Okay.
So it's there.
Okay. I didn't even know we had unit 5.
There were like the covenants and stuff, and it had the different units. So there was a unit 5 there. It's okay. But those are all gone, so. Which this is what we needed. So perfect.
So there's, last thing I'll say. I consider there's 3 documents that manage your government. The first one is this, rules and regulations, that deals with this type of stuff. The second is your employee manual. Okay, so the first one is how this government interacts with the citizens. The second is how this government interacts with its employees. And the third one, third one is the board rules and regs. And that's how the board governs itself. So right now, if you got online and looked at your rules and regs, they don't make a lot of sense. And I think you guys need to take another look at that and go through it. For instance, it calls out very specifically what the order of your agenda is. Just stuff like that that seems kind of arcane and very stiff and doesn't allow the flexibility that this size board would need. But I think you may want to take a look at that. So I think those three, you got one major one. I think you guys need to, I think the board needs to sit down and take a look at how, what their governing document is. And I think the new manager, when that person gets on board, needs to take a look at the employee manual. It's not gaping problems, but there's things that staff has noticed, and they can talk about that. I've noticed, the attorneys noticed, so just kind of things to tighten that
So a
up.
couple more documents that need a little more work besides this being a final review. I mean, this is the final,
That's the final for your rules and regs,
but
but the other two documents, I think you need to look at.
yes. Great. Well, thank you for
Yep.
putting that together.
And then I don't know, I keep saying the last thing, but one of the things that we do, we issue a permit if you do right of way work, right? Working on your driveway. Well, we've changed what that looks like now. So if you're driving along and you see the nice lime green, that is the permit now specifically says on the permit, we're going to give it to them in a plastic container so that it can withstand the elements. And it says it has to be visible from district right of way. So we will be able to see, and then all the information will be on the permit. Any citizen can see the permit. Any additional conditions we may put on a permit is written right on the permit. All the signatures are there. So we should be able to now drive by and see who actually has a permit and who doesn't.
Very nice.
So they had
Make it
fun.
easier.
Yeah, they were like, okay, what can we do this? So it looks really good. It's really fun.
Good job.
And that's a copy of the permit,
So
the original's here.
we'll have the permit application that has their permit number on it, just like it says in your packet. And then when Daryl does his initial walkthrough with them, if he's comfortable issuing that permit and they understand all of their conditions, the district manager's signature will be on it as well as Daryl's signature. And then he will physically issue that permit to them if they meet all of their conditions.
So the backing document, which is the application, will then go into their permanent
Fine.
address file, property file.
Mhm.
Then they'll have the permit that they display. So there's a paper backup that we have, and then they have their copy. So if they lose their copy, we're able to find and go, here's the permit number. And then that will tie up to some things we needed to tie up in that permit. The permit number will be structured the first or the last 2 years of the current year and a 3-digit code after that. So we're now at 2410.
We issued 10 earlier this week. The next one to be issued will be 11.
We're assuming you guys are gonna stay below 900 permits a year. You never know. You never know.
What kind of workload is that adding to district manager?
I think it's actually kind of reducing it.
Reducing?
Yeah, and the reason it's reducing it is although Daryl's gonna have to go to a pre-con meeting and do some of those things, that's gonna wipe out 80% of the crap that was happening afterwards. So that's one thing. And then just to do the permit, I think is gonna be a lot quicker and organized now that internally we know who gets it next, where's it pulled from, both front staff know how to do it. So I think that's kind of a wash.
Yeah.
Maybe it saves them a few minutes. I think it's the backside of him being able to have that conversation of what we're expecting, put it on the permit and not have to chase it around with it.
I like it. It sounds better. Yeah.
I think there was some language that we did away with too regarding substantially built.
Because that was creating a problem. Actually, we're still, that's on the application. So, and we're still actually working. But that is an issue where we would not give water service until their structure was quote unquote substantially complete. But there's no definition. Now we're running into issues that since you don't have covenants, people are putting concrete pads down, they want water for their rolling stock. So that's one I'm really struggling with, and I'm gonna get that nailed down before I leave, but it's on the application that says you will provide water to substantial. And what is that definition? And by the way, a lot of people need running water to do construction. So that's the last thing we're really struggling with all this language is that substantial complete.
Safety for fire. I mean,
you don't have water on location, that's your first line of defense, is some of the water hose.
What about
Construction's
permits
gonna
and
need a lot of storage.
permits and planning? Like you said, when it's needed for water, if they've taken it, engineering plan, like planning, pulling permits and everything else, would that be a point where the district feels comfortable?
It could be that as soon as we're attached and running, have water. Why wait till you're substantial, why wait till substantially compliant?
What's the permit maybe would be the key to say, you got a permit? Okay, you can
Well,
go forward with it.
I could pull a permit and sit on it for quite a while too.
Ours are only
That's-
180 days.
Okay.
Ours move pretty quick.
From our perspective, we were thinking access to the lot needed to be in place before we would provide services.
So that
That's
is
kind of where,
driveway culvert stuff.
because
And-
that pulls them to the requirements.
And driveways are being checked out too, right? Like access, pitch, everything.
No, as soon as, almost as the point they get over our culvert, we're not involved anymore. That goes back to the county.
Okay.
I'll say, if it's over 125 foot, can I get small?
Okay.
Small, they have a drainage ditch.
That's our best.
Once
interest.
it's 2 years or,
But we want to have control of that because we don't want to be driving along in winter under a foot of snow and their culvert sits 2 feet out and we zing it. We don't want it to where they're, it really is important for the district to understand the driveway and the culvert and how it interfaces with our right of way.
Yeah.
And so we do take that seriously. And a lot of it is so we can control drainage too. We want to get the drainage into the traditional drainage patterns instead of having somebody do something and it just, you build something bad like that and then the water goes across the street and into somebody else's. Downhill mess in this place.
What are the permits for like Durango or?
So part of our process, Julie, is when they're getting a driveway, when they're going to install a driveway, is on our permit application, we either have to see a copy of their permit that La Plata County issued or an exemption of a permit. So at the county,
That's a driveway.
correct. If it's over 125 feet, the county has its own permitting process where they check the pitch. Does an emergency vehicle have enough room from your house to the end of the driveway to pull in there and be safe? If it's not over 125 feet, the county doesn't care what your driveway looks like because the emergency vehicle parks in our right of way in the case of an emergency. But we are now requiring to either see that exemption or see the permit from the county before we will issue our permit out of our office.
So could we do the same thing with the water? From like how Durango does it, or it's completely different?
Well, the way we're trying to craft it is that once they successfully get access to their lot, then they can apply for a tap. And then if I were to call up Daryl and he says, no, that they jacked that driveway up, I'm gonna say, well, I'm sorry, man, I can't give you water until you get this squared away.
That's kind of the only hammer we have to make sure that we get what we're wanting out of that interface of the road. Is to withhold the water. On the other hand, like we talked about, there's timing issues of water that the customer needs water. So that's also a sticky part too. But this is.
but it's also incentive.
Did or not.
Yeah. So that's kind of really the last piece of language we're working on. It's bothered us for 8 months now. We still haven't figured out a way around it.
I think
But we're
it's
working
so
on it.
bothersome because when someone says, well, what is substantially built? We don't have a definition for that. So us here at the office or Mark, taking phone calls as well, how do you explain something that could be explained several different ways? How we were trained under the previous administration was substantially built means they have a foundation, some sort of walls, and some sort of roof. But that's pretty far into a construction project with no running water. And that also puts Mark right down to the wire. We're telling people, we're not collecting your money and we don't care what you're building until you're ready for water. So what that means is people are coming in prepared to pay sometimes upward of $20,000 to the district for water. And they want water from Mark then because they're built. They don't care about Mark's timeline. They want water now. They've been working on their timeline sometime for several years. You know what I mean? So it puts Mark in a predicament where he's having to pull resources to get people water because they want water now. And we told them, oh, he's not. Oh, he's not.
You just sit down there in a chair, waiting for people to drive up, don't you?
Yeah, that's what
Concrete definition of what substantially built means would be huge.
I like the driveway idea.
I think that's kind of where we're headed. It just seems to make the best sense. And then there's one last thing I'll say. For the next 2 minutes. We found a fee. What was it? The impact fee? So it's a water impact fee, service impact fee that is tied to square footage. How do you do that with a concrete pad that somebody built for a mobile home? I would suggest in the future, you may want to change that fee to correspond to the size of the tap, not the square footage of what they're. That may be making it, if you got away with your covenants and people are coming up and doing smaller houses and concrete pads and stuff like that, it's impossible to, and what we're thinking is, let's say they come into a concrete pad, we build them off of that math, and then 5 years later, they say, okay, now we're chewing that up, we're building a house. We have no way of collecting what that difference would be. If you make it based on a tap, that's a heck of a lot easier. But that's
off
off
the tap, though?
Huh?
How would you do it off the tap?
What tap size equals amount. Between this size and this size, it's this fee. Between this size and this size, it's this fee. This size and this size, it's this fee.
So based on size of the tap.
Yeah, about the size of. I actually developed a calculator through Excel that I forward to you for the water impact fees, based off the tap size, number of fixtures.
That's normally how you calculate. You either do tap size or fixtures. This whole floor square footage to me.
About lot size, about lot. No, because you don't know how much water Austin, you have a better understanding and.
Is this a different impact fee than like?
So water impact fee is meant to be set aside for water treatment plant upgrades and stuff like that. So as we keep building out, there's money set aside to accommodate that. This fee is based off, say, this place for instance has got 2 toilets, 3 sinks. That calculate, I'm not sure, probably 3/4 inch step. And it all ties into a calculation, gallons per minute. Is that making sense?
Yeah, I guess, so are there 2 impact fees then they're paying now? Like,
So currently ours reads as a services impact. So if they have water, everybody pays for water, roads, and then it's split in 3 ways if they have sewer services as well. So now ours is billed at $2.40 per square foot of living space. So if they're building a 1,200 square foot home, I take 1,200 and I times it times $2.40 and then divide it by whatever services they're entering into with the district. So.
That's down the road a little bit. That is.
Would that also be a time to look at, we had talked about like the part-time residents being charged different rate?
That's a good time to look at it. Also, your budgeting is a good time to look at it. That's the issue. That was less on the mechanical side of what we were doing, but no, that's an issue.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, well then I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the resolution 2024-07 of resolution amending the Replacement of the Forest Lakes Metropolitan District rules, regulations, and laws. So, all in favor?
Aye.
So it's passed. Everybody's in favor.
Thank you, Gary.
We'll get that signed. Okay. That takes us to, new business C, Express Cell Paid Gateway Administrative Service Agreement.
Okay, this one is our document. Okay, so backing up a second, got an email today, forwarded from the attorney that our current provider, iCloud or Invoice Cloud or whatever we use, is severing our contract with them. And they will, we gave them some times and dates that we want to end with them, and they are going to adhere to this. So that's good. So, it costs like $1,000 in Paul sending that grant, but that's fine. It's better than the 21,000 they wanted to separate. So,
Saves us so.
in that transition, Sean is very good at what she does. You are going to experience bumps. They will not last forever. There is the potential, and I would say the expectation of some bumps of trying to move it from a very clunky software or online portal to this one. Because we may have to, for one paid period, use the state's portal for people who are doing online payments. But we're working through that, but it shouldn't be more than one time. And then when this is really up and running, in Express Bill Pay will actually reach out to all the current customers and help them get information on how to do their bills and stuff like that. But anyway, this contract covers our initial administrative service agreement with them. This has been reviewed by your attorney. So we did change it, for instance, from a Utah governing venue to the state of Colorado. And one of the things you'll always see in a contract is there's liability. So there's, okay. In Colorado, a government cannot indemnify, because that may take away our ability to be protected by the Colorado governing, what's the term I'm looking for? Your law that protects you if you screw up, community law, right? So those changes were made in here, and it's really funny because when we were talking to our person who's helping us do this, so it says on 11.0, customer warrants that it'll provide Express with relevant billing information for end users. Customer agrees to identify and hold Express harmless to the extent permitted by law without waiver of the Colorado Governmental Immunity Act for any claim or liability. So it's really funny when we responded and said, well, we can't indemnify people. Our salesperson, the guy we're working with, is kind of like, okay, well, I think we can work around that. And I said, go talk to your people. I guarantee you that they have Colorado language. He came back and he's like, hey, guess what? We got Colorado language. So all those were changed in here. So it complies with state statute. There you go. This is going to make a big difference to you guys and to the staff. This is going to save them several hours a week in doing work, and your citizens are just going to like this so much. It's
Sean,
easy.
you'll have support from Express Pay to,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So they will help with all of the onboarding and the setup. They will actually come here and do an 8-hour training day with Barb and I in person versus it being all virtual and
Nice.
no help. They have been very responsive to any question Guy and I had thus far. The town of Bayfield actually uses Express Bill Pay. They've been in a working relationship with Cassell for over like 25 years or something like that. They make their platform to work with Cassell and vice versa. It's what we should have done from the beginning.
And is there any data from Invoice Cloud that has to be brought over? They're gonna migrate that?
There is some data that has to be brought over, mainly just customer information and things like that. We will have access to our portal until our termination date with Invoice Cloud. And our sales rep pretty much has already prepped me for what we're going to need to migrate. The date that we picked to be done with Invoice Cloud is after we do our auto payments for June. That's what I was worried about the most, is let's get that out of the way and then give ourselves a full month to get Express up and running before we have to process those auto pays again. Express is gonna do all the legwork. They'll send out email notifications saying that the district has changed processors and things like that. It's going to be better. The amount of time that we pay our accountant to reconcile accounts and reports, because Invoice Cloud does not give good reports, it's going to go down, because this company makes reports to work with Casell.
And will Invoice Cloud be giving us a data dump of past data?
So we've been talking to a town in Wyoming that's separated from Invoice Cloud. We kind of modeled how we did this after the, one thing we heard from them is that drop dead date, you're never gonna hear from Invoice Cloud again.
Right.
So we're preparing to, at the very last second, download every single report that we can get and get it into a useful, probably an Excel file, so that we can then upload it back into the other processor. But it's gonna be a timing issue, and it's some of the issues you have to concentrate on, of making sure we have the very last amount of information. We know exactly what we're gonna pull down. We know exactly when we're gonna pull it down, because when they go dark, we're not gonna have it.
Yeah.
So that is a timing issue. So she's gonna communicate with our current vendor and make those preparations.
Well, they should be able to give you that.
Well, it's ours. But as soon as they close up, they close up,
Right.
and it becomes a pain. So we're
But
trying to.
really, the only thing in the portal now is email addresses, customer information. But Barb and I have been working to make sure Casell has all of the information that Invoice Cloud has.
Okay.
So it really will just be the most recent report of people who signed up for paperless billing that we haven't got into the system yet. Everything else will be seamless. I'm not saying there won't be any bumps in the road, because there's going to be, but we're not their first client that's moved from Invoice Cloud to Express. So Express knows how to handle us.
Yeah.
And I have confidence that they will. Even just their contract wording is completely different than the contract we signed with Invoice Cloud.
So I would recommend you at least get a data dump or do your reports or whatever
Mhm.
the week before,
Mhm.
you know, and if you can do it a couple of times,
Mhm.
because you don't know what Invoice Cloud could actually
For sure.
do.
For sure. And we will have all of our records from Casell as far as what payments are processed over, those last few days. So we'll have all of those reports from Casell.
And this will be your last hurdle to going to your bank and having only one bank account. The reason we're actually having two bank accounts now is because it's so hard to work with Invoice Cloud. We've a separate bank account for them to go into, so that we can kind of do their reconciliations and then reconcile everything else. Now, the way Express Bill Pay works, we can just do one account and everything gets dumped into one bank account. And so it just keeps getting more pared down and a little easier to manage.
Makes sense. Any other questions for Sean or Guy? Okay, then I make a motion that we approve the Express Bill Pay Gateway Administration Service Agreement, order form Q 27372-1.
So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
All
guys.
in favor? Pass. Okay,
Thank you.
I did have something I'd like to bring up.
okay.
You had mentioned something about shop and working on equipment, personal equipment.
In my memo, yeah.
Do we need to discuss that now?
But I think if you're looking in your handbook, then you do the employee handbook, because I think if you So the issue is do you want to allow your employees to use the shop after hours, using the tools, that type of stuff? I have said no to that. But it would be a benefit. And if it is a benefit, then I think it needs to be in your employee manual and expressly understood as a benefit. That they can use it,
With the commission.
It's,
because I haven't seen it, but
and as the board then did say, no, let's not take on any liability, let's keep it, let's say no, let's keep it simple right now. So, and that was what came out of that, I believe. But yes, it was in the manual.
okay, I haven't
And
seen
he,
the manual.
yeah,
Because
and
that's in there.
the employees.
So since it's in there, it should be allowed employees to use it. If it's a benefit that's in their employee manual.
I'd have to read exactly what it says.
It was a statement suggesting that things like that can be permitted by the board. It wasn't allowing it to happen, like specifically written out. Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
And at the time, the board said no. Just that we had way too many things to even focus on that. So it was like liability and everything else, we gotta get our hands clean.
I have concerns about mine. But that's my,
Like a waiver.
here's the problem with that. You can have them sign anything. They're gonna sue you. Because the odds of somebody losing a finger or an arm or getting a fleck of metal in their eye is 0.00001 until it's 100%. And I don't care if you have government immunity. I don't care if you have them sign a waiver. When that person has lost the ability to see for the rest of their life, they are going to seek compensation and you will be named. And it gets messier when you do waivers and that type of stuff because government immunity won't stop you. You won't, it wasn't business. It was after hours. You know, it's the same. I worked in a fire district, a metro district. They had a gym for the firefighters. They made me sign a waiver to use it because they didn't want to be responsible for all the cables being shaped 100%, all that type of stuff. So it was used at their own risk. They made me sign a waiver. And I looked at that waiver and I was like, this waiver is so cheap. So that's my concern. I know places do it. If you have a comfort level that this board is comfortable with and they want to approve it, it is a good benefit. I'm not denying that. But I just have certain issues when it comes to liability, and that's my job to look out for that. And I know it doesn't make these guys happy to get that.
And not
I
all
apologize.
employees are always people that enforce them. I get it. Oh, working comp thing in my life. You can check that right.
So that was my view. I think what I'm telling this board is if it is something that you want to do, I think benefits should be explicitly outlined in your employee manual as best as possible.
Remember what section that was in?
So I do remember seeing it in there. I remember exactly what you were talking about. It was in there, but it was gray.
And we did decide not to because of liability.
Well, it's not just a liability, it's, equipment gets broken, tools get taken home. I mean, there could be a whole slew of
There is,
reasons.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
On if the tools are working properly and stuff, like when it's on our time, clock time, then there's workman's comp, but when it's not on our time, then
yeah.
danger.
It was only like a little.
It was like a
wasn't it?
sentence or something, wasn't it? That's what I seem to remember.
Yeah, it's just one brief statement in here.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was
It's on the bottom of the page, but if it's printed from the back, I guess it could change.
Do you know what section that's under?
Employees manual there.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's under, district code, if I remember correctly, on the website, organization and the district code.
I mean, we don't have to like park on this one. Just
Okay. That's something to look at for sure.
Pulling it up.
Okay. If you can find it, that'd be great.
use of district properties, page 29, 7.4.
What page?
Seven
Page
point four is a
29
spot
on this.
section.
Page 29.
7.4, use of district property, vehicles, equipment, and facilities. Authorized personnel use of other district property is at employees' own risk and expense of damage or loss while in their personal possession. The personal use of district property for hire is not authorized at any time. Personal use of district large equipment, grader, roller, loader, backhoe, dump, and plow trucks is not authorized.
Right up on top there. 7.4.
And then employment.
What page is it? 29?
29.
You're all right, dude. Oh, on the big screen. Sorry.
Yeah, that's Guy.
Like-
Yes, sir.
So I think that we need to review the employee manual.
Yeah, and that was said earlier, is that the employees manual and the board manual needs to be updated. Agree. It does need to happen. And this particular section particularly needs to be addressed.
Conversation for different times.
There's a lot that needs to be done, that's true. Whether it's wages or whatever. Okay. So moving right along, approval of disbursements. Number 10.
I make a motion to approve the check register dated 5/1 through 5/31 in the amount of $112,501.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it.
Director, attention real quick, we do have, these are, the correct final, reports, financial reports for the end of May. I just have three things real quickly to show you that are important. At the bottom of the page, you see it says 42% of the fiscal year has gone by. I can, get you to look at page 6. At the very bottom, this is for the general fund. Total fund expenditures, you're at 33%. You're 42% of the way through the year. You spend 33% in that fund. Looking good. Continuing on. Same exercise for water. And that would be on page 11. And you'll see for water, total fund expenditures is at 28% and you're 42% of the way through the year. And then wastewater, you're at 36% at 42% of the way through the year. So these are reconciled, these are accurate, these are what's going to be put on the website, everything, when we get that going. But what's important to know about that is if we can really watch where we're spending and how we're spending it and stay under that total, it's work like that that allows us to then say, hey, maybe we really know what we're spending out of those enterprises, and maybe we can get Mark one more full-time employee, those types of things. So that's why it's so critical that we keep an eye on that. And then finally, this does not include your budgeted transfers from your general fund to your enterprises. So you still have $60,000 more padding that we can transfer over legally and $30-some-odd thousand in your wastewater fund. So you're looking fairly healthy right now. Your expenses are going to, next year in wastewater is going to be a challenge for you guys. That's an issue, getting it in your budget. So
60K can be transferred
roughly 60, and it's in your budget.
to,
That'd be the water, and then roughly 30K to wastewater. So those are still amounts that you have available that I would, Sean and I have talked about it, so you can keep an eye on it, and when it gets close, you can transfer those monies over.
That's that 10% taper.
Correct.
Yes. But one thing I would like to say about these financial reports as well is these reports do not include that last check run that you guys signed this afternoon, today, at this meeting.
Through the end of May.
Yes.
Amen.
So, and that makes sense. So that 11 days after the close of the month, you guys have the final report in your hand. And that's kind of the timeline we're looking for. That was a pretty quick turnaround.
Who can run that report? Leslie? Shauna?
Leslie and I.
Okay.
So anytime of the month, you can request that report. She'll walk you through. There will be, there may be monies that hasn't been allocated yet. So, you know, for instance, we may have had an expenditure that we've recorded, but we haven't put that expenditure against, say, like wastewater. So on your front page, it will show you what monies you have not allocated to your funds yet. But other than that, everything else will be accurate up to that minute.
And are those fund balances something that y'all want me to report on every month in my report?
Because they're on the report.
Actually, that would be nice.
Yeah.
And then that way, because it's just the three, boom, boom, boom.
Perfect.
I think, yeah, if you can, please do.
Yep.
That way it gets out on the minutes. It's for anyone out there that's listening and stuff. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good job. Okay. Thank you. So that takes us to number 11. Executive session pursuant to CRS 246402-4B for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the district council regarding the scope of the district's real properties rights, and pursuant to 246402-4E and F for the purpose of interviewing potential candidate for the district manager's position. So we'll be going into.
You will need a motion second for this. This language does cover both the issues that you'll be discussing. The first issue that you're discussing on the legal advice, Paul will be calling in. We'll do that on, he'll call into your phone. And then when you move to the interview process, I will step out. I'll be out from your shop, so I'll be in probably the front office. And then once you're done with the interview, you can kick the applicant out, and then you guys can discuss, and then you can call me back in as necessary.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to CRS 246402-4B for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the district's council regarding the scope of the district's real property rights, and pursuant to 246402-4E and F for the purpose of interviewing potential candidate for the district manager position.
Second motion. All in favor?
Aye.
So be it.
We will shut down this.